The Canucks now find themselves in a do-or-die Game 7 on Monday following a Game 6 blowout in Edmonton. The train was full of passengers as they failed to close out the series. The penalty kill shows up and shows out once again. And will we see Thatcher Demko in Game 7? All of this is up on this episode of Canucks Digest, but before we get to that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any and all updates surrounding the Canucks this postseason. And with that, let's hop into the first topic, which is Canucks blown out in Game 6. Now, if you're watching the game, you know that the Canucks were unfortunately destroyed in Game 6 by the Edmonton Oilers 5-1. After the first period, it was looking pretty dead even until the Edmonton Oilers opened up the bleeding with 2 quick goals in the second period. And from that, Vancouver just could not recover, especially after the momentum was clearly shifted in Edmonton's favor when they blew the roof off of the arena. And then in the third period, Edmonton did score 2 more goals to just put the final nails in the coffin. And Vancouver just could not get back into this game no matter how hard they tried. And then you look at the game stats, the shots on goal were 27-15 for Edmonton. We'll hop onto that in a second. The faceoffs were in favor of Vancouver. They've been doing pretty well in the faceoff circle all postseason, and especially this series and this season in general. The power play thankfully was dead even for one side, and unfortunately also at 0 at the other side. The penalty minutes were pretty heavy because of the scrum at the end of the game, which resulted in many 10-minute misconducts. The hits were 39-49 with Edmonton getting more hits. It was been a physical series. It's getting more and more physical with each game. Game 7 is gearing up to be a very physical and very intense series finale that I and everyone else cannot wait for. Vancouver was able to block a ton of shots. However, with the offensive attack Edmonton was pouring on, those block shots were really nothing in comparison to the offensive opportunities that Edmonton had and capitalized on. The puck was also taken away from Vancouver a lot. They had a hard time controlling the puck on the bouncing pucks in the passes, with 10 giveaways and 5 getting the puck taken away 6 times. It wasn't pretty to see in that front. And then you see here in the shots on goal where they were even on the scoreboard heading into the second period. However, in the second period was when Edmonton really turned it on. Those 2 quick goals really helped jumpstart their offense, and they were just pouring it on to Vancouver. They couldn't get whatever little opportunities Vancouver had to get it out of their zone. They couldn't do much with it. With Skinner not having to face a ton of pressure, that was something that Vancouver needed to do, was pressure Skinner to get him letting in more pucks, and they couldn't do that with only 15 shots on net. For a total against Edmonton 27. Shilov's did let in a lot of goals, but again, this game was not on Shilov's. I think he played a pretty solid game. It was just the team around him defensively and offensively let him down completely. So I don't think it was completely on him. However, Edmonton was a very strong team tonight. They were the better hockey team. Vancouver was just on their heels the entire time. And to be honest, they needed this chin check after the win that they had. It would have been nice for them to close out the series. However, that game was so overhyped afterwards that it was hard for them not to get too caught up. I'm not saying the players did, but maybe the fans and the media did with how much coverage it was getting and how much the fans were so excited. We still had to calm down. We still had another game to win to move on to the next round. And now we have another game after that, back at home, thankfully, so we have to show up and get that going. One of the things that did let us down in the game was the train full of passengers. And we see here in a tweet from Tommy Kipps too, literally nobody showed up tonight. And to be quite honest, he's right. No one did show up. You see here on the shot boards, not a lot of progress. You see here on the defensive front, only 2 defenders with Hughes and Hronek had shots on net. Susie, he was invisible. Myers, invisible. Cole, Zadorov, invisible. There was, at least Cole wasn't a liability for us. Zadorov, he did get in a scrap with Evander Kane at the end there, but he didn't do really anything else to help set the tone or be a big defensive body out there. Then you see here on there, Brock Boeser was invisible. Connor Garland, he did contribute a lot more than the shot clock, shot board will indicate. He was everywhere. He was all over the puck. Same with JT Miller. He had a great amount of pressure on those defenders. Just he couldn't get home on the opportunities that he had with the most shots on net for Vancouver. Hoglander, he came through with a big goal that he orchestrated basically himself to set it up in that Edmonton zone. Lindholm and Suter each getting a shot on net. That was nice, at least. Pettersson was more involved. He is starting to get more to that Petey that we love. It's just taking a bit more time to get there. He does need to show up in Game 7. It's do or die. That is the time to do it. And Dakota Joshua, you saw JT Miller get in his ear in between that commercial break about controlling the puck and getting the puck into the zone. It's just like they tell you in minor hockey, get pucks deep, get pucks to the net. That's how you win the game. And I think Dakota Joshua is going to carry that into Game 7 with a fire up under his butt, ready to impress his leaders and get everyone going. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do heading into it. But we see here so many of the things that the Canucks did well defending against the McDavid line in Game 5, taking away Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as a passing option on the rush, packing the slot, breaking the puck out well under pressure, have crumbled tonight. And Farhan Lalji replied, that last part especially, pure panic on breakouts, especially against minimal forecheck pressure. And I couldn't agree more with this. It was very hard to watch them squander so many opportunities, including that 5-on-3, as well as defensively. Like I said before, their passing has been brutal this entire series. They need to really pick up the passing and this entire postseason. Like, it's been very scary where they're passing the puck and I'm scared that they're going to cough it up every single pass. Whereas I'm watching these other teams, they're passing with confidence and control. You're not certain that the puck is going to bounce off of their stick like you are with Vancouver. Very few passes are just hitting their stick and staying there. Most of the times they're bouncing off or they're going out of control or misleading the players. And it's being very hard to control them, and it's leading to a lot of takeaways, especially against a speedy Edmonton team, and a lot of missed opportunities where they have grade A chances. We saw a lot of those tonight early on in the game, and I think that helped. That was a big contributor to Vancouver being behind in this game. They were playing from behind almost the entire game. Even when the game was tied, felt like they were behind simply because of that home crowd being behind this Edmonton team. But now it's going back to Game 7 where Vancouver is going to have that home crowd on them again. But it wasn't all gloom and doom for Vancouver. There was a bright spot, and that was the PK coming up big again. The penalty kill was great. We see here in a tweet from Frank Saravelli that the Canucks were now making the Oilers now 0 for 10 in their last power plays after opening 5 for 10, including a 55-second sequence with a 5-on-3 advantage in this period. And I don't know about you guys, but during that 5-on-3, my heart was racing. I was stressed the entire time. And when we got to the end of that, it honestly felt like one of these moments where you're raising the banner going, we survived that. I don't know how, but it did. And it seemed like that 55 seconds felt like forever. It felt like an eternity. Whereas when we were on this short 5-on-3, it felt like it went by way too quick. And that's mainly because of the Oilers penalty kill, just launching the puck out of the zone. But again, that penalty kill was great tonight. They really showed up and showed out. That's going to be critical going into Game 7 where the tensions are going to be high. There's definitely going to be a fair share of penalties. There's going to be a fair share of hits and a fair share of penalty minutes, maybe an ejection or two. We saw some tonight. Hopefully we get maybe a scrap too that helps set the tone for that home crowd. That would be awesome to see. But another topic that was a buzzworthy thing going into the postgame was Demko back for Game 7. We saw in the morning skate that Demko was warming up a little bit and stayed on to take shots from the scratches. We don't know what his progress was based on that, but in the postgame we did get from Tocchet emphatically saying no, Demko is not going to play Game 7. He doesn't blame the loss on PD or on Shelovs. I don't blame him. I don't blame the loss on Shelovs either. I think you still roll with him. You don't go from Thatcher Demko having not played since Game 1 against Nashville to a Game 7 elimination game against the Oilers. I know Demko is that Vezina caliber goalie, but when Shelovs is rolling and playing the way he is, and if his offense can get more opportunities and get more pucks in the net, and that the defense shores up a lot of the things that they messed up on tonight, I think Shelovs will have a much better game and give them a much better chance to win this series finally and close it out. But it's going to be all about having that confidence in him. Tocchet still has that confidence. The team still has that confidence in him. Everyone still has the confidence in Shelovs to get it done. We all know he wasn't the problem with their losses in this series. Maybe one or two early on, but he's been able to shake those. He's risen to the occasion on every single moment of these playoffs. I think it's going to have a great impact on Game 7 where goaltending is going to be everything and converting on grade A chances. But with that, let's get into top comment of the day. And this comment comes from Leonard McCannon 3136. If Pettersson is actually getting healthy enough to get his shot back, that is going to make a big difference for his confidence and will pay dividends to an underwhelming power play. And I couldn't agree more. We definitely need PD to get it going in game 7, especially if we're on the power play and we get those opportunities. That crowd is going to be cheering him on, trying to get him going along with everybody else. And I think that will be the game where he can show up and finally be the hero of this series that we've all been waiting for him to be. And I think that'll be what gets the Canucks to the 3rd round. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. We're very close to 2,000 subscribers. We'd love to get there before the end of this series and into round 3. So help us get there. Click subscribe, hit the comments. Let us know down below what you thought of Game 6 and what you think going into Game 7 going forward. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffen, and we'll see you next time.